time with a lawyer. Went through my whole case. Told them everything about my sitch, and then the guy left that space. I need a new one. I need a new lawyer. But I don't want to pay, because I don't.
Was this guy, was he a lawyer too?
The agent? Nah, this is a college book. This is Chuck Johnson from Summit. He's a snake.
Phil doesn't want to give a real answer.
No, I'm
going to
give a real answer. It's just a real answer. You want a good answer or you want a short answer?
You got to sue this law firm, man.
No, goddamn.
You look like a chubby Colin Farrell.
Whoa.
Well, I'm not going to eat.
They had good reviews online. I was kind of in a hurry, so I was speaking with this other lady because my friends had recommended a busy lawyer as a good lawyer, and she was an individual, very busy, but she was going to take on my case, but she didn't get back to me with that for almost 2 months, and I really needed to get the ball rolling, so I decided to go with the bigger company that was able to onboard me faster.
What kind of case was this?
It is a wage dispute. Essentially, I sold a bunch of roofing salesmen, never got paid on all this, and it's a significant amount of commissions.
How much?
I can definitively prove around $125K, and then a remaining of about $55K that could be up to dispute depending on my involvement, because once I started talking about a lawyer, I was kicked out of the CRM, and so I wasn't able to complete those jobs. So those will kind of be up to negotiations on how
dude,
that would
do you want a
pan
job?
out.
You want to sell partnerships for the Hardly Legal channel on YouTube? We're always looking for sponsors. We'd be happy to have you make $100,000 and then not pay you your commission. Okay, so you hired a lawyer. And then tell me what happened after you hired the lawyer to go after your former employer.
So they drafted up, just letting them know that I'm represented by counsel, notified them on that. They weren't communicating really at all. Ran through that whole rigmarole, went through the state commission board to make sure we'd have the right to sue or something, I guess we had to do. So they got that letter from the state to actually sue them, and then we ended up finally filing the lawsuit, I believe on Christmas Eve.
Okay, of this last Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So I just want to ask a quick question of our comic guests. You guys have never had a gig where you went to a club and you worked and you didn't get paid, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
There was a festival. I won't name names. I'm not going to put anybody out there, but there were a bunch of big comics on it, and they didn't pay us at the end of the weekend. And then it came out that they weren't paying. They didn't get the money or whatever. So my agents luckily got me the money like almost a month or so later.
Wow.
But there were a lot of, they paid the big names, but a lot of the other guys, because they had offered us each $3,000. Which is good for 3 days, all flight, everything paid for. It was very difficult. There's a lot of people that still haven't been paid for it.
Wow. Geoff, have you seen that?
I've had at a college gig where they told me the green room would be secure, and so I'm like, all right, so I can leave my stuff in here, and they're like, yeah, we'll lock it, and somebody will watch it, and then long story short, and I never do that, but I had to like charge my phone, and then someone came in, stole my phone. My agent was like, don't worry about it, like we'll take care of it. The police came and everything to the school, and my agent was like, oh, don't worry. He's like, just buy a new phone because like the school's gonna pay for your phone. So I just went out, bought a new phone, and then my agent sucked. And he was just like, yeah, they say they don't want to pay for it. It was a state school. It was in Virginia, I think. And so they weren't gonna pay me, and my agent kind of fucked me. I've had agents, I caught them on emails trying to steal money from me, and then I'm like, hey,
like tell you it's one amount, and then they
I had an agent who used to be an agent of mine, and I stopped doing colleges a long time ago because it's like, I got older. I'm not really a college, no one wants to hire a guy as a dad. And so I told him, like, yeah, I'll keep you on my website, just so if anything comes through, you can get it. And then I'm Jewish, and I had this Jewish organization contact me to do a gig in New York, a private event. I'm talking to everyone, I'm negotiating with everybody. And then somebody from that organization, I guess, went to my website and for some reason contacted my old college agent who was on there, but it says just for colleges, And then he hits me up and he's being very cryptic. It's a long, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but basically as he's talking, he's like, I got this possible gig for you, blah, blah. Then he told me more about it and he was threatening to take it from me. He's like, hey man, I need to know. But I thought it was this gig, right? So I found out that it for sure was. And then I'm like, hey man, not only did you not get me this gig, you're threatening to give it to somebody else. I go, I've been talking to these people for like a month. It's $3,500. You offered me like whatever it was. He offered me way less.
Wow.
I go, even when we worked together, you never took a commission that was 47% or whatever the fuck it was.
Wow.
So he was just a total snake. And then he like got caught. And then in his email that he forwarded me, it was part of the email that I'd seen from them. So I knew, and I talked to them and I verified it before I confronted him.
Was this guy? Was he a lawyer too?
The
Your agent?
agent? Nah, this is a college booking. This is Chuck Johnson from Summit. He's a snake.
Names are being named.
I mean, I have all the emails.
No,
it's
no,
like,
no, you're good.
Yeah,
You're good. You're
You're gonna
it's
be the
not
next
slander.
Okay, you can be the next caller. So caller, so you filed everything around Christmas, and when did your lawyer leave the firm?
Probably about 2-3 weeks ago, I was notified that she's no longer with us, and so we're assigning this new guy. And then the new guy was in the process of, I guess, the company wanted it in federal court because I guess they're known for paying out less amounts than state court, or at least that's what they told me. And then so we were successful on getting it back to state court. And so that's what they've been doing now. But I was just wondering if that's a red flag, if that's commonplace, for them to be changing lawyers like that.
Well, Bill has a pretty great
just
firm.
kind of seeing how firms work.
Yeah, Bill has a 30+ attorney firm, Platt Richmond.
Yeah,
I'm sure this has happened. Walk through from the lawyer side.
Yeah, just so for context, I worked at a firm that had 450 lawyers and one that had about 50, and then my firm that I started 10 years ago, we've just got over 30 attorneys. And I will say that, yes, attorneys do switch. They move. They go to different firms in the same town. They quit the practice of law. They switch practices. Sometimes even the attorney hasn't left the firm per se, but the trial schedule in another case gets so overlapped with your case that it no longer makes sense for them to be able to properly represent you.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon. But I will say that the professional rules of responsibility, which are really the ethics rules for lawyers. So when it comes to lawyer switching, that's not a problem. But the ethics rules require that the lawyers are supposed to be still communicating, giving you all the information. It's not even like you've switched firms at this point. And that's the thing that is most important to remember is that, yes, the partners of the firm are still responsible if their associate attorneys or younger attorneys leave, or even if they don't leave and they do a bad job, it's ultimately still on the partners. So, yes, these people should still be responsible. Are they giving you any indication of concern about the responsiveness or the questions or the strategy or anything like that?
No, they communicated it to me. It was just I thought it could have been a red flag. I don't know how many times that happens. This is completely new to me. So, and then I had randomly I love watching Crowder, and I saw you on there. You're hilarious. I was like, I need to call him up and see if this is normal, and maybe ask a few other things. Like I wanted to ask, would it be smart for me to tell the opposing counsel or have my lawyer tell them that I'm on a contingency basis to potentially speed up negotiations, or does that not really matter?
I generally, you don't want to do that, because what that means is that, well, it depends on the case, but in general, the reason why it's not helpful to disclose that earlier on is because now they know that the lawyer is essentially spending their own money to do the case. So there's just like a different dynamic. Josh, I think you've probably got some additional
I was going to
thoughts
say
on it.
you should always, when you have a lawyer right now. You should never just take tactics in your own hands and start giving information to the other side. Like always confer with your lawyer.
No, I would tell the lawyer to do it for sure. I would never myself.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not communicating anything. I've gotten that and burnt in my head for sure with the other side.
I got a question for the lawyers. So is he two questions? Is he allowed to leave with the original lawyer he had?
Yes.
And is that a bad look or a good look?
For
his case.
It will generally not matter if the lawyer that's leaving is going to another firm of similar reputation or size or resources, because at the end of the day, most lawyers change jobs 4 or 5 times over a career anyways, and some do it every 4 or 5 years regardless. So it's not that unusual. The big thing I would worry about is repetitive knowledge or unnecessary billing. So if some new lawyer is going to get on this case, you need to be looking at the bills and go, hey, I didn't want to have to pay another 8 hours because you guys can't keep your employees here, right? So you should go, and you don't have to be that dick about it right up front, but you can just say, hey, I want to make sure we're not duplicating work here, and maybe a little bit of time is whatnot. It's not worth an hour of time on your bill to go to another firm.
Is it fair for him to say, I don't want to pay for the knowledge transfer?
Yeah, you can say, I don't want to pay for the knowledge transfer. I'm just saying practically you're going to spend a lot of time and energy if you were like, I will not pay one more red cent, and then you go to another law firm. Well, now you got to pay this other law firm to do it. So if you're good with staying at the firm as opposed to Jeff's question, which is following the other lawyer, then and I would actually talk to your other lawyer. You'll be able to find them online. Maybe they're at a firm that has a better rate. Or maybe they're interested in bringing in some business right at the beginning, so they would be willing to come in at a better rate or a cut rate, but then you don't have to have that knowledge transfer issue.
I have a question for the caller. So are you concerned because he found this lawyer because the lawyer had good reviews, and then the lawyer left, and it's like the firm told him, we're taking over the case. So that lawyer...
Well, I guess technically it was the firm that had good reviews, so I just was completely in the dark, did not know if that's completely normal for lawyers to be changing and in cases and whatnot. And then also just I guess, would you think it's better than to hire a firm? Seems like they actually might be able to handle more than an individual lawyer.
Man, I'm giving so many lawyer
pros and
answers here.
cons
It's
of
like,
each.
I'll give Bill doesn't want to give a real answer.
No, I'm gonna give a real answer. It's just you want a good answer or you want a short answer?
You got to sue this law firm, man.
He wants an actionable answer, not a technically correct answer.
No, I'm giving him actionable answers.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm giving.
We never fight.
Yeah, we never fight. God. All right, go.
I was gonna say, I think that all of your concerns are valid. I think that it's worth having a conversation, but be very wary, right, of trying to go get that second lawyer, changing law firms. Anytime you change, it raises a few eyebrows, and lawyers don't necessarily love that there was a previous lawyer, a previous firm, and now you're switching. It's a little bit of a red flag, and you never know if you're going to get better customer service when you switch. If you don't have any reason to doubt that they're not doing a competent job or a good job right now, don't just switch just because this feels like an opportunity to switch would be my advice. It can always get worse when you switch.
If you liked your other lawyer, you should call him or her up and see if they're willing to take the case. And again, you might get a cut on the rate or whatnot, but you won't have the knowledge transfer.
Yeah.
The firm itself they're responsible. They've got the reviews for a reason, so they're putting someone else on it. Just make sure you don't have to pay, out the nose for that transfer time. But it sounds like you now have two options as opposed to just one.
If I'm on a contingency, though, I shouldn't be paying for any kind of transfer time, right?
That's correct. So they're going to add to the hours. So if the contingency deal is just a percentage of the recovery, then it's not going to matter one way or the other. In fact, sometimes the firms will say when there's a contingency, you have to go with the other lawyer, because we don't even want to take the case on anymore because that was our one lawyer who was willing to get paid on contingency within the larger firm itself. So either one, if they're willing to still take it on, then honestly, that's probably speaking volumes for your case, and they'll have to figure out probably the one who left isn't going to get a cut anymore, which is not your problem. So if you like the attorneys and they're taking care of you, especially since it's on a contingency, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, awesome. That actually explains a lot right there. I appreciate that.
What other questions? Oh, no, sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you feel better hearing that caller?
Oh, 100%. I didn't know that at firms, each individual lawyer kind of chooses which one they want to take. And then the fact that, hey, it went to another lawyer, they also chose to take it on. Yeah, that kind of carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Also, from what you've described with your employment commission issue here, it doesn't sound like the most complex issue. Like it's something that another lawyer should be able to get caught up on pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And it happens. I wouldn't worry about it. You're asking the right questions. You have the right concerns. Just look at the substance of it, of making sure they're responsive and picking up the ball. Definitely get a good conversation up front with the lawyer who's now on it. And go fucking crush these roofing contractors, man.
We've got a commission-only job for you, selling comedy bookings for these guys right here. If you want to be, they don't even need a lawyer to be their manager, okay? Caller, do you feel like you were heard today?
Yes, so I appreciate everything y'all did. It definitely helped.
Awesome. Thank you. You have a great day. This is Hardly Legal.
Can I say something?
Please.
Before we do that, you look like a chubby Colin Farrell.
Whoa.
I'll take that.
You're a good-looking guy.
Thank you.
But you look like him in like Tigerland
to lose
with
weight.
that haircut. Yeah, well, you're
Just
In
look
Bruges?
like Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chubby Colin Farrell. Okay.
Well, do me.
Well, I'm not gonna eat.
you look like
an
a
obese
Mexican
Colin
Colin
Farrell.
Farrell, a Filipino Colin Farrell.
I look like a Mexican Colin Quinn.
Do you
Thank
just use the word Colin Farrell so that you could insult people? Like you go up to a woman, and you're like, you look like a kind of a feminine, bloated Colin Farrell for a lady.
I think it's a compliment.
Dude, I saw
is
I
a
think-
No, it is a
I think
compliment.
Colin Farrell is gorgeous.
Dude,
Like,
he is. Have
Oh,
you seen him
yeah.
in person?
I
saw
used
him
to
at-
work out with him.
Oh, you
he
did?
used to
Oh,
go to my
dude.
CrossFit gym.
I saw that guy
Wow.
at the fucking LAX once, and it was like, okay, movie star. Everybody else looked like an extra. Just this guy walking.
He's
so good looking.
He's the
Yeah.
dude. Not to be like he's the coolest, but he's cool. Like he is a good dude. And I mean, I didn't meet him in his 20s. I met him in his in late 30s, well, probably 40s at that point. But he was just the man.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you meet somebody that you think is going to be a dildo and they're not, you're like, oh, you could be, because you have status. You're
Right.
good looking. But I think when he had that retard kid, I think it.
Gave him a little perspective.
Yeah, I think it humbled him.
Yeah.
And that's the official medical term.
You look like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I'll take that. I also
It's not an insult. See that?
No, I also like
You just named a
doing a
good-looking
look
guy,
like-
and that's it.
Jeff and I can leave if you guys just.
the one that I like
very-
is people said I look like a young Mel Gibson, and I'm like, oh man, I hope, like, I don't know, but they used to say
Like a
that,
Mad Max era?
Yeah,
Especially with
yeah,
the
yeah,
hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not now. He looks like a fucking like a Brillo pad now. Like he's really.
looks
Most
like-
of the good plastic surgeons are Jewish, so
He never got plastic surgery. That's the thing, and that's why I think he's so warped.
Conversations all over the place.
All right, back to the league. Shit, I'm
thank
sorry,
you, thank
Jeff.
you for interrupting it to give me to
No, not
body
you, him.
dysmorphia.
Logan
But,
with
no, we
Other
were-
Joshua. Joshua is.
Yeshua
over here.
Joshua. I enjoyed the last call because it wasn't the most serious. If you have just general questions about the law, that's kind of what this show is for. Call in, hang out with us, and enjoy yourself some Harley Legal. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be here for you when you need that cheap date.